Hello and welcome to another midnight showing. As always, I'm Kelly, and I just got out of Fast 7. Yo, Dom! We're getting our asses handed to us. What should we do? Well, we don't want to give them spoilers now, do we? Okay, but what should we do about the guns shooting at us? Drive faster. So for the non-spoiler version, I'm kind of giving a little bit of a mixed signal because there's a part at the very end of the film I think everyone should watch. Even if it means a ticket price. But the movie itself, it was okay. I've never been a really big fan of the Fast and Furious movies. The first one was okay, the second one was unnecessary but fine. The third one had absolutely nothing to do with the rest of them. The fourth one had to retcon the third one in. The fifth one and the sixth one are only okay because they introduced The Rock. So why do you keep making these movies? But as far as action movies go, this was completely passable. There are some really, really crappy things in the movie. The plot is all over the place, and there is a legitimate reason for that, which I'll talk about at the end of the video. But at the same time, as someone who walked in there expecting crap, and I got a jumbled mess that was somewhat entertaining, the movie itself is okay to passable. It's not anything spectacular, and it's not anything that I lump up with, say, 50 Shades or Strange Magic. But it really wasn't worth the ticket price. I really don't think it was worth seeing in theaters until the very end. And what happens at the very end of the movie is a tribute to Paul Walker, and it is easily the most beautiful tribute I think I've seen in a film. Ever. So I think that everybody should go see the tribute, but I don't think the movie is worth paying the ticket price to go see the tribute. So pay it at your own leisure. Personally, with the movie quality, I'd say wait till it's Redbox or Netflix or something like that. It just had too many things wrong with it for me to say that it was good enough to see in theaters. With that said, the tribute that's put at the end was so beautiful, it's quite clear that everybody in the entire production, especially Vin Diesel, are really hurting because their friend is gone. And it was, I don't normally cry or anything during these things, and I hate it when they do these tributes with hip-hop rap stuff, but it worked on a level that I could not even begin to describe. So finishing up the non-spoiler version, I would say pay at your own risk. Wait till it comes to Redbox to see the movie, but if you can get a chance to just sneak in there for the last 5 minutes of the movie and just see the tribute they did to it, do it. Now, for those wanting to hear about the spoilers, you're in for a doozy. One of the biggest things that is a problem with modern action movies is the introduction of shaky cam. You might remember it from my review of Run All Night, where they just do this back and forth and action, woo! And this movie has a lot of it. Every single fist fight is done in shaky cam. But that's not what makes the shaky cam bad. No, what makes the shaky cam bad in this movie is that the shaky cam is used to cover up another editing tool. What editing tool would that be? Well, that would be artificially speeding up the footage so that all the fight scenes look like they're moving faster. So you have a sped up fight scene and you have them shaking the camera just so that they can cover this up. It was annoying and it was giving me a headache every single time someone had to fight in this movie. There's a really, really, really good fight at the very beginning between The Rock and Jason Statham, but you can't enjoy the fight because honestly, it's just got so much shaking that's unnecessary. On top of that, they're doing a lot of really cool, weird angles with the fights. There's one moment where The Rock literally grabs Jason Statham by the neck, hurls him up, and throws him to the ground. The whole time the camera is staying level with Jason Statham while shaking. Boom. It's a really cool effect. But At this point, I had to close my eyes and just start rubbing everything because it was just, it was hurting my head. And no, I did not see this in 3D or D-Box, although I heard that the D-Box was really good. A friend just happened to be in the theater that I saw this at, so. So, the whole movie's fight scenes are really, really hard to watch, especially from where I had to sit. But that's a minor problem because some of the fight scenes were done so creatively and had so many batshit crazy moments in it that I can honestly say that they weren't all that bad. But we get into another problem with the film, which is the very, very, very big gaping lack of The Rock. Now, as I said before, movies 5 and 6 in the Fast and Furious franchises were kind of revitalized because they introduced The Rock into these movies. So, what do you do for the sequel? Well, let's have a scene with him at the very, very beginning, then he gets blown up and put in a hospital, and he doesn't magically show up until the climax of the movie for the last 10 minutes. Yeah, it's pretty bad right there. The Rock is barely in the film, and he is easily the best part of it. His action scenes are so over the top that it's just amazing to watch. He's what I like to call one of these stupid actors. What is a stupid actor? A stupid actor is a person who excels in a role that is completely stupid. This could be anything from Mark Wahlberg in Transformers to Keanu Reeves inside of the original Matrix. And let's face it, that movie was pretty stupid. But we love them anyway because of everything that's happening. You can tell they're giving it 120%, trying to say every single line with all the seriousness and dignity they could possibly throw into it. The king of the stupid actors is and always shall be Arnold Schwarzenegger, whose pithy one-liners and over-the-top action movies are somewhat legend now. And I've always considered The Rock to be one of these actors. So in a movie that is completely stupid, over the top, and throwing one-liners like they're freaking candy, I can honestly say that him not being in the majority of this movie was easily the worst part about it. Let's see if I can quote this one right, because it's been a few hours. By the time I get a hold of him, I'm going to put her so hard on him that his mom's going to wish that she kept her legs shut. Yes, you heard that right. And it's every line he says out of his mouth comes up like this. And it would have been a really, really, really fun part of this movie if he had been there the entire time. But he's not. I want to think that there was some scheduling conflict between making of this movie and the making of San Andreas, which comes out next month, I believe. And that would explain his part. But the bigger problem for me is Jason Statham, who was horribly underutilized in this film. As I said before, the plot is a complete mess. And there is a reason for that. I want to save it for later. But Jason Statham's part is the part that really suffers for it. So you have the main bad guy here, and he's constantly chasing everyone down, trying to kill everyone who is responsible for his brother's coma, which is the bad guy from the 6th movie, but I don't think anyone really cared or wanted to care. But then the team completely goes off on a side mission to go get something so they can find him and put an end to him finally, blah-de-blah-de-blah-de-blah. And then he randomly shows up for maybe 5 minutes and then disappears. Then they go do another side mission and do a bunch of stuff randomly, blah, 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 and then he magically shows up for the last 5 minutes of that and poof, he's gone again. You seeing a little bit of a pattern here? Yeah, to say that he's horribly underutilized inside this film is an understatement. He's barely in it. Why isn't he in this movie? More. I can tell you a possible reason why, but again, I'll save that for the ending. And it's a real shame because the main bad guy is not the main bad guy. We end up spending more time focusing on this mercenary guy from the first side mission who ends up making an appearance inside of the climax for no real explained reason. Seriously, we don't need him. Cut him from the movie. But again, I do believe that there's a reason for this. But there is a few other things I want to go over before I go over that. So, moving on. Dom. Dom is a walking, talking cartoon. Yeah, Vin Diesel's character inside of this consists of saying family more times than Luffy from One Piece says nakama, which is comrades in Japanese, if you don't know. It also can translate to friends, but you get the idea. Take a shot every time he says something about family, and you will be dead by the end of the film, and it shows. I don't got friends. I got family. My family is the ones I care about. My family and I are going to take this guy down. He messed with my family. My family is going to take it because family is the most important thing, and family is the family of the family of the family of the family. Shut up! Please, we get it. Move on. Punch something, please. And it got annoying fast. So annoying fast. And it's not something that I really, really want to see in one of these movies. When I go to something like this, I go to turn off my brain, see some good cars, and some good action. What did I get in this movie? I got some okay action, I got stupid BS philosophy, and I got a lack of a main hero, and the best actor inside of this role, bar none. Yay! So as I said, the movie's not worth seeing, but most of the problems can be directly translated, especially the problems with Jason Statham's use, The Rock not being inside of the film, the messed up plot. All of these problems can be traced back to Paul Walker dying in the middle of production. Which is why I hesitate to say they're bad, per se. With everything that this production had to go through, the rewrites, the shooting, the CGI inserts of Paul Walker that look really, really bad. I am sorry, I don't want to say anything bad about him, but they look really bad in this movie, and you can tell when he isn't there. The contracting of Paul Walker's brother because they look so similar, so that they can film some more scenes with him and finish out the movie, all of these can be traced back to the fact that he passed away in the middle of production, and they had to do something. It makes me really curious to see what this film would have been if he hadn't died, because it's quite clear that they went out of their way to remove him from sections of this movie and reshoot things so that they could have a cohesive story and film. And this is why I believe they focus so much more on this mercenary guy than on Jason Statham. I mean, don't get me wrong, Jason Statham's always a constant presence, but he's turned into a henchman of this other guy when they strike an alliance. Which you can directly correspond to the fact that Paul Walker probably was supposed to have a bigger role and have a few fight scenes with Jason Statham one-on-one to give him more of a presence. To show him like trying to pick off the team. And I can even say that this is probably the reason why they removed The Rock from a lot of portions of this and just had him get hurt in an explosion at the very, very beginning. Maybe it was the San Andreas filming, maybe it was to keep him out of the film so they could put more focus on Dom and the other 5 people, including the new girl, Ramsey. But again, everything can be traced back to the fact that he's not alive anymore. And I don't want to say anything bad about him because I like him as an actor. I really did like Paul Walker as an actor. One of the first movies I ever bought was a movie called Timeline, which I think is a very, very underrated science fiction time travel action film. Based on a book by the same name, but that's not important. The main character inside of it is played by Paul Walker, and it was the first time I ever saw him in a film, and I still, to this day, love that film. Mostly because of how he is portrayed inside of it. I don't want to say anything bad about him because I know that this is tragic, and there is a very cruel sense of irony that he died in a car accident, and this being his biggest franchise he's ever been a part of. But the movie suffers because it has to work around all of this. So that's why I say the film itself is not necessarily worth seeing in theaters. There's just too many problems with it, all of which can be traced back to some degree to the fact that Paul Walker died. But the tribute they gave at the very end of this film was so beautiful, so memorable, and easily the best thing I've ever seen, tribute-wise, that I say go see this film. But the 2 hour stretch of film that you have to get through to get to the last 5 minutes, where they basically showcase all of the scenes that he's been in every single one of the movies, in a very, very, very nice setup with both Vin Diesel and Paul Walker driving away and Paul Walker's car pulling off. Again, CGI is pretty bad. You can tell that they cut him from another part of the movie or from another screenshot or from non-shooting moments and put him inside of there, which is a very, very, very big shame. But for the parts that he used inside of this film, and you can tell when Paul Walker is actually there, they are easily some of the best parts of the film. The high-speed rescue of Ramses through the stupid little bus thing. You see it in the trailers where it like pulls up the side and the gun starts shooting their cars and whatnot. The falling out of the plane. You can tell that Paul Walker was there for the beginning of the movie, and he shot most of the climax of the movie. Everywhere else in the middle, you can tell they removed him from a lot of spots, and they had to replace him with his brother as a stunt double using the back of his head most of the time, and the fact that he was CGI'd into a lot of the scenes. You can tell that it's not the best work I've seen. So overall, what do I rate this movie? Well, from a film standpoint, I would say it's not worth seeing in theaters because there's way too many problems with it. It's a jumbled mess plot-wise, and there's characters who don't get nearly enough screen time inside of this film. But from a memorable side, because of the addition of that tribute, as well as the fact that you can tell they were playing very, very, very close to the vest about how to portray Paul Walker's character inside of the film, I can easily say that it was worth a watch. So my final verdict is, watch at your own risk. If you want to go see it in theaters, try to shoot for a matinee or maybe wait for it to get to the cheap theaters, because that tribute really does need to be seen in the fullest extent on the big screen. But from an actual technical standpoint, I say it's not worth seeing in theaters, so wait till it comes to Redbox or on Netflix or something like that. All in all, it is a mindless good time, but there's just too many problems for me to say it was good. Go watch John Wick. Go and watch Walk Among the Tombstones. Go and watch the original Matrix. Go and watch Timeline and see what I'm talking about when Paul Walker's a really good action hero. Well, that's it for me. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like it and share it with your friends. So, did you see the film? Leave your thoughts on the film in the comments below, and maybe we can get into a little bit of discussion here. And as always, if you want to see more, be sure to subscribe. I'll leave a few links to my last videos inside the comments below. And I'll see you all next time.